You are listening to Fancy Face and Friends. Okay, hello, listeners. I'm really excited to have the. I think your website says New York's Jazzy R&B Duo, Acute Inflections. So thank you for joining today's episode.
Thank
Yeah,
you for
pleasure.
having us. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. So first, can you just introduce yourselves to the listeners?
Okay. I guess I'll start ladies first. I hope it. Well, my name is Elacia, but you all can call me Elle if that's easier. And I am the singer of Acute Inflections.
And my name is Siddiqui, and you can call me Siddiqui, and I am the bassist of Acute Inflections.
Okay, so how did you? So just to give a little backstory, I know Ale from Hunter College. We studied together. We studied theater together, and you did. We both did dance, but different years.
Yeah.
And so we've known each other for ages, and we recently reconnected when I was back in the States. I spent some time in Poughkeepsie. You don't live that far from there. So
Mm.
we hung out twice, including a very beautiful beach boardwalk day, despite the rain,
Yeah.
despite being kicked out, thrown off of the beach.
Yeah. Terrible people.
Yeah, but because of thunder, it was like electric thunderstorms or something. Electrical.
Something they used as an excuse to get us off and run us home, but
Yeah,
we said no.
right. We still had fun. So since we've reconnected, which was very nice to have, when I restarted this podcast, I immediately sent you a message, you and three other people, and all four of you agreed to, which is very gracious, agreed to be guests on my podcast. So I'm excited to have you here, and I appreciate you, both of you, making the time to do this. But going back into you two, how did you meet, and what was the beginning of Acute Inflections?
Ooh, who wants to take that one?
Man, it's a lot. That's a big question. Might have to
Yeah.
break it up into pieces.
Okay, you want to talk about how we met
Uh, yeah, sure, why not? Um, so
and
Elle
tell them the
was.
truth?
That's all I do. No, Elle was in a Broadway show called Fela, about the Nigerian singer activist Fela Kuti, and I was a fan of the show essentially. So when she produced a concert with her castmates after the show closed, I went to that concert and we met at the end of that night. And then she basically, just let me know repeatedly how interested she was in me. So eventually I agreed to go on a date with her, and here we are. That's how we met.
You see, you're not telling the whole truth. First of all, I didn't let him know repeatedly. I just, lightly
Right.
implied that I wanted to stay in touch.
Okay.
Okay.
And and then he asked me out on a date after I shot him an email because I didn't hear from him for a couple of days. So I thought it would be just polite to just say hello via email, keep it real professional.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And then
Okay.
So not only do you two perform together, obviously as Acute Inflections, but you're also in a relationship.
At times,
yeah.
yes.
I mean, all the time, whether it's a good relationship or bad relationship, it's still a relationship nonetheless. Thank you.
Okay.
yeah,
What came first, the performance duo or the relationship?
the relationship.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't even know we had no plans on necessarily performing together. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know he had the ability to play an instrument, let alone my favorite instrument, the bass,
Mm-hmm.
until at least I didn't find out that he used to play until like, what was it, maybe 6 to 8 months into our courtship, as they say. And it just happened to slip out in
So,
conversation.
so if you two are seeing each other, how did it turn into let's perform together?
Hmm. So,
Yeah,
you want to take it? Or
yeah. I mean, I basically got deceived. That's what happened. I
no.
I hadn't played the bass since high school, so been about 10 years. And a friend of mine was, had my bass, and she encouraged me to get the bass back and to start playing, which I did. And then she said, "Hey, I have a friend putting together a showcase in Brooklyn, and I'm putting together a band for it. I'd like you to be a part of it." And long story short, that was a lie. And when I got there, there was no band. It ended up being just the two of us on
No, no,
stage,
it's not
which
when
was
you got there. We both arrived, and the piano player who was supposed to put the band together deceived both of us because he
okay.
had the
But
vision of us being a duo. He even said it to us like, "You guys should just perform by yourself." We said, "No, you're out of your mind." And we all show up. The piano player tells us that the rest of the band couldn't make it, so it'd just be the three of us. And then while we were performing, literally like half a minute into the performance, the piano player stopped playing. And it was just the two of us. Siddiqui looks at me scared and not sure if he should continue. I said, "Well, we're here now. Let's just continue."
Mm.
So you weren't the only one deceived, Siddiqui. I was as well.
okay.
And that's how it and that's how it kind of happened. Like
That sounds really wild.
it
Like
was.
Yeah, it
that
was.
that you would be told. I mean, having studied theater and dance and being a performer myself, it's crazy that you're there to do an event under a certain set of circumstances, and then while you're actually on stage performing live, they're like, oh, it's actually just going to be the two of you. Roll with it. And that the fact
Yeah.
that you two were able to take that on and do something with it speaks to your talent.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It was terrifying, but thank you.
What did that performance teach the two of you separately as a performer? Or what did that situation?
Hmm. I mean, I guess when you're in the middle of something and it doesn't go as planned, you just gotta make the best of it
Mm,
and, kind of save the complaining for later. So that's probably what it taught me.
okay.
I never thought about that. In all the years, I've just never actually had that question.
Mm,
Um, so in hindsight, I'd say, oh, I would agree with Siddiqui, but like really committing to whatever it was. Because honestly, like I looked over at the piano player and he's like encouraging, signaling us to continue. I look over at Siddiqui, he's deer, deer in headlights pretty much. And just this like knowing that we just gotta do this, just I guess feeling that sense of duty.
yeah. If you
Um,
if you were going there as a band, I'm assuming that meant that you had a set list.
yeah, we had, I think, we were gonna sort of do like a medley of two songs. Um, Siddiqui, were they both originals?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the piano player was supposed to basically rehearse the other parts with the other musicians. and we were supposed to kind of just do a quick little rehearsal and then get it on stage. So yeah,
So when you showed up, you had not actually met the rest of the band.
No.
no, it was one of those things like, oh, they're running late, they'll be here,
Yeah. Are you
But the
until it's
piano
like,
player set that up.
are you still in touch with the piano player?
Yes.
not as
We
much.
love him forever.
We don't trust them. We'll love them, but don't trust them.
No. But there's honestly no animosity because it definitely opened up a whole nother world and
Yeah.
life for us. And if anything, we're indebted to him because he showed selflessness. Because he and I were working on a project together. He was producing music for me, and when he met Siddiqui and saw the potential, he didn't allow his ego to get in the way of that. You know, he could have easily have said, well, I've been working with her all this time. Why should I move over just for this new potential thing? Um, his selflessness in that regard has literally changed our lives and allowed us to impact so many lives with our music over the years,
Yeah.
all because of that choice of selflessness.
How long
So,
ago was that?
poof.
12 years. Oh, yeah,
No, is
11.
it?
Well, it'll be 12
Uh,
years in February.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. So 11 years ago. Mm.
What was the venue or what was the performance supposed to be? Like, was it a bar, a club, a lounge?
A
Yeah, it was actually a
church.
church.
Oh, a church.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Who knew?
yeah. It was a showcase at a church.
Okay. What kind of denomination was the church?
Hmm.
I don't know.
I'd say it was like a hybrid of a non-denominational, non-denominational slash Pentecostal.
Okay.
I'd say, very highly Caribbean, but super not liberal, but they were a bit more forward thinking.
This question is actually for both of you. How much does your faith guide you when it comes to performance? Like the songs that you choose to write or the songs that you choose to sing, or because especially whether it's a black church or whether it's certain religions, those hymns and those songs are, especially in the Catholic Church, which I used to go to, it's very sing-songy.
Hmm.
So for the two of you as artists and as singers and musicians, how much does that really drive your performance?
You first or me first? Uh, I would say we nod to it um, in some of our call and responses when we're doing some freestyling or some little sing along moments in random songs. Uh, I it's not like we do religious songs, but we definitely find the soul and I'd say the there is a spiritual energy that is in every song, even if it's a love song, a Marvin Gaye song, a rock song. Like the we find new ways to make it mean something um, because we change up the styling of how the song is originally done to match the words. So that causes it to have a certain spirit to it. Um, so yeah, I think we're
Uh,
just more in tune with that. What about you,
yeah.
babe?
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say though that we do find ourselves unintentionally in situations that feel very reverent at
Mm.
our shows, and a lot of the fans will come back to us and say like, that was very like spiritually enriching and fulfilling. And I remember one fan saying, "You guys have the audience chanting, these positive, inspirational messages, and it feels like church, even though it doesn't feel religious." And it wasn't intentional, but I think the universe, God, whatever, will speak and I guess use us as I guess as however necessary it is for the moment, and we're both open to that. And I guess we're both we don't have much of an agenda when we're on stage. I'll
Mm.
say that, like, there's a lot of moments where we both make a quote unquote mistake, something we didn't intend to do, but we both do it together, without
Yeah.
knowing, without there being a discussion, and then it's a special moment, and it means something to someone else. Or you look out into the audience, and people are crying, people are holding each other, and they tell you afterwards what that moment was about, but you didn't know,
Right.
you know.
What's the songwriting process for the two of you? Like, do you sit together and then say like, here's an idea that I have, or do you do things separately? Like you work
Hmm.
on composing the music, and she's off in her own world working on lyrics, and then
Yeah, she
It,
likes to do things separately.
okay.
We're trying to get around to the idea of it, true teamwork. She likes to create something on her own, show it to me, and if I don't say it's the best thing ever, there's like a pouting process, and
ha ha
and
ha.
and then eventually it's like, okay, fine. Well, what are your ideas? And then we can actually start creating together and polishing it. But I'd say she more so uh, unearths the stones, and maybe I'm more of like the sculptor, polisher of the stone.
Mm. Is that accurate?
I said it.
Ish. Sort of ish. I just like to be able to, we're both quite busy. So, and a lot of times I like to write when I feel inspired to. So, a lot of times I'm inspired to when I am by myself. Uh, and yes, I do like the freedom to just vomit out and then he sift through the mess
Mm-hmm.
to have it palatable for other people. But every now and then we do sit together and write. It doesn't happen as often, but we do that sometimes too.
Who do you? This is for both of you. Who do you draw inspiration from musically, whether it's vocalists or musicians?
Mm, that's a long list.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'd say growing up, I was kind of bouncing between Miles Davis and
Mm.
Monk, and maybe James Brown. I'd say for sure. Rhythmically, I love a lot of that stuff. I mean, I grew up in a Caribbean household, so you had Marley, had a lot of soca, calypso artists. I had a lot of my family were artists in the Caribbean as well.
Are you
And
from New York?
I mean, I grew up in New York. Spent most of my life in New York, but I was
Okay.
born in Trinidad.
Okay.
And but also classical music. I started learning to play the bass in orchestra, so some classical artists as well. And then obviously, growing up in the '90s, so you got '90s hip hop and R&B. So and nowadays we're listening to a lot of Afrobeat on the piano. So just, I mean, like I said, it's a long list.
Yeah. What about you?
The typical Whitney, Celine Dion, Sade, Nina Simone for her boldness to command the stage, um, and almost her boldness to check the audience.
Yeah.
Like when I heard her recordings where she would talk back to the audience if they were being rude or anything like that, the things that she say over the mic. I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, she is not afraid of them. Wow.
Yeah.
And that really inspired me.
I have this remix of oh my gosh, I can't think of the name of the song now. Um, hold on, I have to look this up. I have this remix of Sea Lion Woman, and
Mm,
she they included I believe he's French. This his name is Bob Sinclair. This
mm.
DJ,
Okay.
and he included in the audio of that like a live performance, and she
Mm.
does talk back to the. I should send it to you. She does talk back to the audience, and I
Yeah.
was really taken away by that because I didn't realize that before.
Yeah, it's definitely not something that people discuss. Like in all the, I don't remember ever experiencing someone talk about that when they speak of the history of music or jazz or even her. I found that on my own in listening to some recordings, and it was it changed my perspective that I
It,
have that right.
do you have a go-to Whitney Houston, Celine Dion, Sade song
When we perform or just in life.
in life,
Oh,
or both actually? Do you perform Whitney Houston songs?
yeah, we have that. We of course we have to do. I'll always love you. That's the one we do a lot.
Yeah.
Um, I never thought about that. Uh, I can't say that there's a. I love a lot of those ladies' stuff. I can't say that there's one in particular that's my jam and I put it on repeat. I just think everything that they do growing up, I would always just sing or mimic. So I can't say that there's like one in particular that.
I've
Mm.
been rediscovering Sade music because for whatever reason, I guess they're refusing to put anything new out. And since COVID, I have felt like the world has needed a new Sade album to help heal our soul.
Mm.
Mm.
Their music is like, it's so reflective and meditative
Mm.
Hmm.
that it's a shame that they haven't put anything out since 2010.
Oh wow.
So it's interesting that you say Sade because I actually just downloaded maybe a month ago Promise, their second album, their
Mm.
1985 album. And I've been listening to that with like Sweetest Taboo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They were jamming back then,
Yeah.
man.
It's so timeless. So do
And,
you two do you ever do like requests?
Yeah,
yeah.
all the time. That used to be something we did a lot of, and both in the private event world and then when we did do our concerts, it really helped us to expand our repertoire and to realize what people wanted to hear versus what we wanted to play,
What
and to find a middle ground there.
what's a common song or request?
Ooh, that's, well, I mean, people look at us and will request, any jazz standard. Like they might request like "Summertime" or "Fever" or something like that.
Fever's a good song.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So, but it's what you would expect us to do. So there are times when we kind of gotta show 'em that we might look like this, but it's not who we are. So we gotta blow their mind and do like a Nirvana song, or I don't know, do like a Childish Gambino cover or whatever. So it's fun to kind of to stretch people's imaginations, like when they come to shows and we're gonna do a song from an artist we don't actually listen to, and we'll do like a Britney Spears cover, and everyone's like
Wow.
jamming to it. It's
What was
yeah.
the Britney Spears cover?
Some Toxic song, I think. Right?
Oh, okay.
Some
That's a good
toxic
song.
song.
Yeah.
But to, I guess, answer your question too, we get requests to sing Redbone a lot, and everyone loves No Ordinary from Sade. So I think Sade
Mm,
is our probably most requested artist.
I can see
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
Do you have any jazz standards that like really stand out in your mind, whether you perform them or not?
Hmm.
I mean, I like, I'd say In a Sentimental Mood is one that I love,
Okay.
and probably My
The
Funny
one that,
Valentine.
oh, you like that one? I'm surprised you
Yeah,
didn't say
definitely.
Nature Boy.
I like Nature Boy
You,
more now, but I wouldn't say like I grew up loving Nature Boy. I mean, I liked it though.
mm. When you asked the question, I thought about the song "What a Difference a Day Makes."
Mm,
I don't know why I like it so much, but and I like what we do with it. We do it in a bit of a reggae kind of um, vibe,
mm.
and we don't do it as often. We should sing that one more. Like I like it a lot. But yeah, I like it.
You mentioned before about Siddiqui. You mentioned before about venues or private shows, and I wanted to
Yeah.
actually ask you, the two of you, what is the type of event and or venue that you prefer, or does it even really matter as long as there's space for you to sing and move about?
I mean, prefer is what I want. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say most of the private events, if it's a corporate function or like a dinner party or a wedding, birthday party, um, it's whatever the client wants. So I don't have a say in their
Mm-hmm.
venue choices. But it's we've been able
But
to get
as
into a lot of incredible rooms for sure.
as long as they don't put us next to the sushi or the bar, it needs to be a nice picturesque space that they put us.
Mm.
We always ask for that at least.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, why?
Um, it's not a good look. It's hard for anyone to respect the music when it's kind of stuffed into the corner by the bathroom, and
Oh, yeah, that
so
makes
and
sense.
then the other thing is at those events you're kind of competing with other vendors who think that their thing deserves the prime spot in the room.
Mm.
So they might have like an ice sculpture or this food display, but the client oftentimes will be annoyed once they get their pictures back and they're like, well, everyone was taking pictures, you guys look great, but why is there the bathroom sign in the background or
Mm.
the bar's right next to you? What, like almost like it's our fault. Why'd you set up in that location? So we've learned through experience to just give the clients a heads up. Hey, you might want to let the venue know or your event planner to make sure they position us somewhere that you don't mind seeing in the pictures. It's not going to be our fault.
Who's usually the one who accepts the gig? Like if
Uh,
somebody wanted to reach out to you and they went to your website and they clicked on whatever email that you guys have there, probably info at acuteinflections.com. Who's the one who's normally like who starts that kind of conversation of, is this a good idea? Should we do this? I think it is. What's the cost?
uh, our assistant will like weed through all that stuff and
Okay.
figure out whether it's a good, a good opportunity for us. And then if the money's right, she'll just say yes. If it requires some consideration, she'll bring it to us and say, here's what's going on.
Have you ever received an offer that didn't fit what you were, what like you wanted to do? And I don't even necessarily mean, because of course there's going to be financial offers that you're like, absolutely not. But I mean like something about it wasn't, for whatever reason.
We've definitely had to say no to some stuff. And when we got to the point in our career where we could say no, it was so liberating. So much so that sometimes I can't wait to say no. But yeah, and then sometimes people will reach out to us, and maybe because the price that we quote was too high for them, and they try to make us feel bad about it. Um, I'm happy when they don't pick us because it just we want to be valued and
Yeah.
appreciated for what we do and what we bring to the table. So if they don't see the value, then please keep moving.
Right. It sets the tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
a.
it's funny. We had a cigar shop recently. We don't like, I mean, I know cigars, that vibe, works with jazz, but the other side of it is I don't want to go home smelling like that. She doesn't. Her
Yeah.
clothes, it's hard to get the smell out. It's hard to get the smell out of the bass. And we quoted them, and one of the partners came back and said, "We can get 6 musicians for that price," and it's
That's what they
just like
said?
yeah, it's just like a funny concept to me because I can't imagine myself being at the Ferrari dealership and being like, "Well, I can get a whole minivan for half this price and seat more people." It's like, all right, if you just want quantity, why are you here?
Right.
We are a duo, like,
Go get those 6.
You
right.
know?
There is
Cliche.
there is a lot of power though when you know your worth.
Mm,
There is a lot of power in, I mean, just in everyday life there's a lot of power in saying no, and more people should do that. But in the aspect of artistry, whatever that means, whatever that artistry is, because I just recorded a podcast with someone who designs these little cartoon sketches,
mm,
and we didn't really have a conversation about like price and things, but we were having a conversation more about how it's nice to be able to make money doing something that you like something that you would normally be doing anyway,
mm.
because you really love it or enjoy it, and it just so happens that people are paying you for it, so it's like a added perk or bonus. Do you feel the same way about your craft?
L, that's for you.
Oh, I don't hear her.
What if we lost her? Well, I'm. I'll say I'm honored to be in this position. It wasn't my plan because it wasn't my dream to be a musician. It was something that was more of a hobby.
Mm,
So I didn't desire this, but I'm grateful that my life has had this unexpected turn. Particularly because with our shows, it's a fulfilling experience to be able to use our music consciously to spread messages that we believe need need more attention with
mm,
all the division right now.
yeah.
And I know she feels the same way. So it's been quite a journey, to be appreciated. We have a situation recently where when we do our shows, we mention some of the charities that we support and believe in, just to kind of let people know, like, hey, we're not just taking your money, and you didn't buy a ticket to send us on vacation. Like, here's who we support. Here's what these organizations do. Here's a pamphlet about them. Feel free to donate. And now our fans are calling us and saying, like, hey, I loved how you highlighted that charity, and your concert was almost like a charity fundraiser.
Mm-hmm.
Will you come to my town and do that for my charity? Will you come to Savannah? Will you come to Jacksonville or Huntsville, Alabama, and do the same thing for my charity or an organization that I'm involved with? So it's nice to see the calendar filling up with more of those dates because they're the most worthwhile, fulfilling
Mm,
experiences versus the past 10 years. It's been mostly the private events that do pay well, but when you're doing a dinner party because someone turned 75, or you know Google's releasing a new phone and they hired you for the cocktail reception for the press, it just doesn't feel the same. You're grateful,
yeah.
it pays the bills, but It's not the same thing as, wow, we're raising money to change lives, and here are some of the people's lives have been affected by this.
Yeah. Elle, are you there?
I am.
Okay. So, on your website it says join us for a night. Join us for a fun night of soulful music and comedy. What's the comedy bit?
Well, I get, I'll say more so Siddiqui, but we pretty much have banter between each other that's kind of uh, bold and funny. And
Mm.
Siddiqui does not have a filter, so whatever he feels like saying, he does say. And a lot of times it's hilarious. His delivery is insane. The men love him because he is their voice, in
Mm.
the sense of Siddiqui gets to say things that they can't say and survive. So, um,
They're also known
and
as the truth. I get to say the truth.
oh,
Mm.
whatever. And yeah, it's just fun. You know, we talk to the audience and play off of some of the things that the audience yells back out to us. So that's where the comedy is. And a lot of it's improv. Like we're just off the cuff responding to each other or what's happening in the moment.
Mm. What's one of the in recent times? What's one of the performances that you think fondly of?
Hmm.
Hmm. I think that last time we were in Philly, we had a pretty,
Oh wow, yeah.
yeah, fun audience. It depends because some audiences are very reverent and very like respectful of the music, and then I think other audiences are more into the personality and like singing, clapping, and dancing along,
Mm.
and kind of jumping in and saying stuff to us, and
It's more collaborative.
um, yeah. So
Yeah.
that Philly show was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, you can tell they did their homework. They knew where they were coming, like what they were coming to, and they were ready to be involved.
Mm.
Yeah, those are really the fun ones. The other ones, I mean, I appreciate the reverent ones because at least they're listening, but I almost don't want them to behave themselves way too much, like too much, like enough to not disrupt, but don't be dead either, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
So I see that you have some shows coming up.
Yeah, just a few, a handful.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
have November
yeah.
14th is in Cleveland. You have Detroit on the 15th, Chicago on the 16th. You two are busy. The 17th is Indianapolis.
Oh, yes.
Do you
It's
con-
gonna be real.
do you consciously take breaks, like, okay, for this month or for this 2 week period, like no shows whatsoever, we need to chill with all the traveling?
I say that to him. Like, he's the one kind of mapping out our tours,
Mm.
and I mean, I'm grateful that he's filling in the quote unquote dead spaces. But I'm like, can I breathe though? Can I do my laundry? Something, you know.
Mm.
But no, it's definitely fun. I'd say this is let me see. Not this past summer. The summer before was the first time we went out on the road. So from summer 2023 till now, I think we've done. This is gonna be the sixth tour that we're gonna do. City.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He's been planning these tours kind of back to back, which is great to see happen. But it's a whirlwind, but fun.
Last time I was with you, back in August, last time we hung out, you were about to, when we had the beach boardwalk day, you were about to go
Mm.
to Europe.
Yep.
You were going to a wedding in Paris, I think, or France.
It's France. It's this area called Annecy, France.
Okay.
Lake Annecy.
And then you were going to go perform in the UK, yes?
Yeah, yeah.
How was that?
How was that, Siddiqui?
Well, we learned not to do London indoor theater and like during their summer because UK London's kind of just known for rainy, dreary weather. So
Mm,
I mean the show was great and people had a great time, but we definitely had a bigger crowd our first time in London. Um, it's kind of weird. You gotta kind of choose a rainy time to do something like that because you can't be mad at people. But when it's sunny and it's warm out, everyone wants to be outside enjoying
yeah,
nature.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
lesson learned there.
But it was a good show. We got a chance to say all of our British slang that we learned from different shows, like, what you telling me, bruv? Like all that stuff. It was fun. They were getting a kick out of us Americans trying to be down with their swag.
Is there a place that you would love to go and perform in, like a city or a country?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. I will say
Yeah.
we earlier this year we went to South Africa and then we went to Mozambique to a small village in Mashangulu. It's
Mm,
like this peninsula, and we did just for like the local people there. People that would normally never be able to experience something like what we do.
yeah,
We perform for them, and um, you're in a village where most people don't have electricity, and they're kind of living off the land, and I personally really enjoyed that. It was like a window into what life was like before, you know, the colonists set out to spread the gospel, and
yeah,
um, it was it was I think it was like one of those moments where you're always going to remember this. We performed at, let's say, Carnegie Hall or Gotham Hall, the Empire State Building, it's Statue of Liberty. Like I don't remember any of those anymore, but to be there with those people in that village, I thought that was pretty special. I'd love to have more moments like that.
how did that even come
And
about?
So one of our one of our private event um I guess situations, we had this one guy who we've performed for this client maybe 3 times, and every time we perform this guy always comes up to us and talks about how much he loves our music and everything. And then one day he's like, I want to bring you to South Africa. We got to figure out how to get you to South Africa. And they actually followed through with that. And we went this past January. And he owns a property in South Africa and is it in Mashangulu City or Mozambique is
yeah,
where he owns the other
yeah, yeah.
property. Okay.
That was Mashangulu.
Yes. Okay. Uh, So yeah, he wanted to show us both options because he knew that we do traveling trips with our fans. So we kind of went to kind of scout uh, the experience, staying at some of his properties and stuff.
Hmm.
And yeah, so Machangulu was supposed to be like a bit of an off the grid option, and it was amazing. It really really was to really be with people who just appreciate simplicity
Yeah.
and um, and community. It was really lovely to see, you know. And I got a chance to sing with a local artist over there. We were freestyling together, and that was very special because I don't get to do that often.
Mm,
And for the people there to get a chance to experience that, you know, that's something that a lot of Americans haven't even experienced,
yeah.
with us, Acute Inflections. It's really rare that we get a chance to do that.
My last question for both of you, and this is a difficult one. Describe your partner in three words or adjectives.
With no profanity.
You can use
Oh.
profanity. It's not PBS.
Hmm. You first. I'm still getting my third word.
I'd say bright. Um, I'd say passionate and resilient.
Hmm.
Thank you, Don. That was sweet. I'd say driven, patient, inspirational.
Okay. So aside from the shows that you two have coming up, you also, just so listeners know, there's a digital tip jar.
Yes.
It says if you recently attended a show and feel like showing us some love, visit our digital tip jar, which is smart for you two to do. Do that actually? I wasn't even going to ask this, but that just made me think of this. Do you find that people, so you get paid by whomever it is that's hired you, but are people normally generous when it comes to tipping you?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think.
definitely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, especially we weren't aware of what what the tipping situation usually is.
Hmm.
Um, and we appreciated the tips that we received, but I think there was once when we covered for another musician, and he said, "Oh yeah, we always do really great with tips. We'll make like $50 to $100." I'm like, "Oh, okay," and we went there, and it's his venue, and I forgot how much we got, but it was like double or triple that, and he'd been playing there for years, and I spoke to him about it after. He's like, "Yeah, we never made that much," so.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, okay. I guess we've got to be grateful that we, you know, that we do well. People love what we do, and they love to show their appreciation, and it's appreciated. you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
We got bills to pay. These divas are expensive.
These, please. Not just me, him too.
I'm not the one shopping for dresses every week, so
Those are my work clothes. Okay. They're not just there
okay.
for vanity purposes. The people want to see
Oh, of
the
course.
lady in a nice dress. Thank you
I
very
know.
much.
I don't know why I thought they were here for the music. I'm sorry about that.
That too, it all plays a part. The look, the music, aesthetic, the whole thing. The whole thing.
Well, if you
Okay,
want
got it.
more information, you should definitely go to acuteinflections.com. They have a number of shows in November coming up, obviously, as well as information about private events. There's photos, there's videos, so you can check out their performances. So definitely check them out. It was so great to hear from both of you and to hear a little bit about behind the scenes to Acute Inflections.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
thank
It's been
you.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
And
course.
welcome back to podcasting, Nick.
Thank you.
Woohoo!
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and as usual, thank you, listeners, for listening.